and welcome to my brand new podcast called 65 Rose Petals. And as you can see, I wasn't fully prepared, but anyway, here we are. So, just in case you are not aware, this is CF Awareness Month, more like the back end of it. Well, actually, first and foremost, what I should be saying is welcome. Glad you're here. Glad you could join us, or me, really. So, like I said, this is CF Awareness Month. This is being recorded on May 28th of 2021. Why I'm making this point is because I do plan on releasing audio versions, and by the time that version comes out, it's probably going to be like 2022, honestly, with my editing skills. I mean, I do have good editing skills, but I take a long time to get from point A to point B. So that's just mainly because I'm a perfectionist, and I'm trying not to speak too loudly to have like the audio levels decent, especially if I have to remove the mic. So for anyone that's watching this right now, let me know if the mic sounds fine. As you see, my phone's in the picture. Hopefully, it's not too intrusive, as I will be streaming this on Instagram as well. I'm using a new program called Restream. Well, I usually was using was StreamYard. Well, I do plan on continuing to use that. I thought I'd try something new. So this is the first time I'm ever using this. So this is almost like a test stream and an actual stream in one. So bear with me when it comes to that. I do not have my headphones plugged in because the things about the break in half. Yeah, and I was having a lot of technical issues too. Also, I did want to do this earlier. It's 10 p.m. So do you know where children are? I wanted to make that joke. So yeah, I wanted to do this earlier, but that just didn't pan out very well. I actually wanted to do this the other day, but again, it didn't pan out that way. So here we are doing this on the 28th on a Friday, just to give you some context. Because why not? I'm pretty sure probably only 5 people are going to see this while it's live because I'm pretty sure everybody's outside. Unless you live where I am right now, where it's raining. So if it is raining where you're at, now you have stuck to watch this or listen to it. Really, it's more important if you listen to it. But anyway, so what is this podcast about exactly? So this podcast is basically it's just basically going to be me talking about different topics involving CF or cystic fibrosis. That's simply what that's going to be. Usually, I do these podcasts, with other people. I have two other podcasts that I'm working on. One is called Always Leads to Everything, which is about like anime, video games, and stuff like that. And the other one is Chronically Chill, where I interview people with different disabilities, including people with CF. But this time, I thought I fly solo this time. Doing this was a little nerve wracking, especially since I do feel like at times I may not be like the best in like holding a conversation, especially like by myself. But you know, I thought I'd try it out, and I'm thinking since if I'm doing specific topics, it might flow a little better. I used to do stuff like this on my YouTube channel back in the day. Those were called like my CF vlogs. I was actually thinking of changing the name and calling that just 65 Roses Podcast. But I decided just make a new thing based on the vlogs I used to do back in the day. Minus like me taking treatments and stuff on video. Unless you guys want to see that, but I don't think that would sound well in the audio version, so I'm probably not going to do that. So this podcast was a long time coming because I was originally going to launch this back in like 2019. It's 2021 now. So in case you're wondering why it took so long for this to happen, Well, there's a few reasons. First off, at the time, I don't even think I had like a working computer. And then when I finally got one, they got rid of Google Hangouts, which is what I was originally using to do live streams on. So that kind of set me back, especially since I had to figure out how to basically live stream again, and then how to turn that into like audio and all that. So, want some water with me because I know my throat's gonna get dry or whatever. So those are things that was kind of setting me back with all of this, well, but I persevered through that. I was actually just not gonna do the podcast at all because I was thinking like, well, I'm doing the chronically chill thing already, and that kind of just seems redundant if I do that and then do this one because this one is a CF only related podcast, and I was thinking like, well, what would be the point of me doing this if I'm doing the other one? And I'm gonna be having a lot of people with CF on that show anyways. So that's when I decided I'm just gonna do this by myself. Actually, I made a commercial for this for my Radio 2 class. I don't know if I still have. No, I still have the CD somewhere, but I don't know if I still have like the audio file. But if I have the CD, I could just make the audio file. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So to explain where the name came from, like 65 Roses is kind of like this inside joke in the CF community because like a lot of children with CF tend to have like an issue kind of pronouncing the name right, and I know that for a fact because I was one of those people. I had an issue saying it because it was hard to say. So instead of calling it cystic fibrosis, I called it cystic fibrosis, as many people did. That has kind of become like the tagline, whatever. So originally this was going to be called the 65 Roses Podcast, but then I found out 65 Roses is kind of copyrighted. So what I was actually going to do is I was going to wait until I got like 1,000 followers on Facebook and Instagram specifically. I do have a Twitter page, but that page isn't really, for lack of a better term, popping like that. But then again, none of my Twitter pages are, and that's fine with me because I don't really use Twitter like that, and I don't really like Twitter nor care for it. So if those pages aren't really like having traction like that, I don't really care. What I do care about would be the ones on Facebook and Instagram. For the 65 Roses one in particular, the Facebook one is still the most popular because I think I have like 300 plus followers on there, and the Instagram one just reached 200. So again, thank you for everybody following it, following those pages, especially since I haven't posted anything until like this week for like over a year. But again, that was because those were dead pages, and I was trying to get people to, at least recently, I was trying to get people to migrate to the other pages, or more specifically, the Chronicle Joe. But trying to migrate everybody to the other pages too. So if anyone's wondering, following that particular page, that there's these other random pages that just started following you, that's kind of why. Although I probably should just be more direct about that, but I apologize. I'm not very direct. Well, when it counts, when it counts, I will be direct. Other times, maybe not. So let's go live on Instagram. So you can see that, and I should be able to see people. If you are like going to leave a comment, I should be able to see it. I really should be checking to make sure like the Facebook and all that stuff is actually streaming properly, but whatever. And for the people watching this on Instagram, let me know if you guys can see the screen because this is kind of as if it really matters. Anyway, so just let me know what kind of topics you guys want me to discuss. Anything involving CF. It doesn't even really have to be like medical, just like basic stuff. Like So what I'm gonna be doing today is, of course, discussing like the purpose of the podcast and just the podcast itself, as well as my personal story. I don't think I've really told that like in full. I've mentioned it in like in bits and pieces, but I don't think I've really spoken about it in full. So where do I even start with that? I guess where I could start is, for one, I just recently graduated, so yay. I want to mention that because I want to congratulate everybody that's graduated this spring, especially to all the CFers out there who graduated, because I know it was a hard time. And I know for me personally, this was a pretty annoying semester, very irritating one, but it's done. That's all that matters. And got this. It's my graduation hat my younger sister designed. It has Link. It has something that says radio and T production. It has I think it's a map and a microphone. It has words that I did it with cystic fibrosis. It has a keyblade from the Kingdom Hearts video game franchise, and then DJ Megagame Productions. So I'm just gonna leave that there. I have my Team McDaniel Great Strides shirt on. Trying to look the part. So next thing we're going to be discussing. Okay, my experience with CF. So I always have a hard time like just how trying to figure out how to even start that. I've been asked that a couple of times. Like how always it's funny because I always try to memorize it. Like okay, my CF story is this, and that, and then when the lights shine on me, I just go blank. I don't know why that always happens. I'm just like, oh, I don't know. I was this at one point. All right. So first and foremost, I actually have an older sister who has CF. She is 4 years older than me. So because of that, I was diagnosed at birth. I think she was diagnosed like 6 months or so, or a year, somewhere in that vein. I was born in October 1992. I don't know if I want to give the actual day. I can give the date, October 8th, 1992, because I wanted to stream or whatever on my birthday. Because why not? So yeah, I'm a Libra. Anyway, as far as like early childhood is concerned, like with CF, it wasn't really anything too bad until about like I would say when I got to second grade. Like at the end of second grade, I think is when I started like going in the hospital. And I don't remember if I started getting pick lines immediately or if it was like maybe the next time, but I've been getting those for as long as I remember. I do remember since like the end of second grade, I've been going to the hospital like every year. Sometimes 2 years, occasionally 3 years. I think that was 3 years. I think that's only happened like once or twice. Throughout the years, I've also had I had nasal surgery, a bronchoscopy. I think the bronchoscopy one was the one I went in there for a third time, and that was for that specific reason. I mentioned this in my chronically chill video that procedure was not supposed to be as big as it wound up being. At least that's what they said. And then I went on there on a Friday. I didn't think I didn't leave until Sunday. So I got the procedure done. Went into the recovery room. I think I wound up being in the intensive care unit because I had a hard time recovering. So I had to stay overnight. Well, over 2 nights really. And that whole weekend was just me going from room to room. Basically, it was annoying. Because I was having like mild hemoptysis and my throat hurt. I basically had a tube going down my throat, so that was not pleasant. Much like my nasal surgery, where I could barely speak after having it done, and I couldn't taste anything. Have you ever eaten something you couldn't taste it? Or actually, better yet, have you eaten something so bland that it almost made you vomit? I have. It is not pleasant. And yes, that's also happened to me without the nasal surgery, but that was more so because I ate something that was just really awful. But anyway, so let's see. I take oxygen. My oxygen's over somewhere. I pull it up, but I'm a little trapped in here right now. Had to move a lot of things up to kind of make the room look a little better. I've been on oxygen now for well, I'm not using it like now. I'm okay now, but like at one point I did really need to use it. That was like a year or two ago. But for example, I started having hemoptysis in like 2006. It was like my freshman year of high school, and yeah, I know I'm kind of jumping around a bit, but I don't know. I did want to do this like in a timeline, but that's not really panning out too well. So that experience was well the first time that happened. That was an experience, and this it's funny too because I actually remember that like it was yesterday. I even wrote a paper about it. Like I was surprised how much detail I remember from that particular day. I don't know because it was one of those things where let me try to explain like this. Now I was aware of hemoptysis or what it was, not completely. I wouldn't say I fully understood it, but I was aware of it since I was like 10 or 11 because my mother told me about it, and I was always kind of terrified of it since because I didn't know all the logistics of it, but one thing I did know was that something that's supposed to be in your body that is coming out of it, it's clearly not a good thing. So that was as much understanding of that as that I had and probably needed, and then that actually happened. It was like one of those, oh, it was one of my worst fears happening, and now it's actually happening. So, and at the time, I was living in Queens, and the part of Queens I was living in didn't really have like the best hospital, so I had to get transferred there, and I had to wait until my actual hospital had to come and pick me up, and that took hours. The problem is that the hospital I was that I lived nearby didn't really cover stuff like that. They didn't really know anything about CF, so and they definitely didn't know how to handle a situation like that. I mean, like they did the best they could, but yeah. I mean, they gave me an IV, and that actually stayed in, so that was good at least. But and also, I guess to explain to anyone what hemoptysis is, it's it is coughing up blood, so just to put that out there. Anyway, that was probably one of the few times that I wasn't really sure if I was even gonna make it. So I mean, looking back at now, it's still kind of terrifying to think about it, but that's probably like one of maybe 2 or 3 times where I'm just like, oh no, I don't know how this is gonna turn out. Like the other time would be probably one of the more recent situations. This is back in like 2019? Yeah, I think it was 2019. It's like the fall of 2019. I'm in school. I'm taking like 6 classes. Don't ask me why. I don't know why. What I was thinking of doing that, but I was taking 6 classes, and I mean, basically, what I was trying to do is I was trying to catch up to all the people. No, what it was, because I'm all right. So I'm majoring in, or I was majoring in radio and TV production, and the people in that particular program, a lot of them will, at least to me, they were a lot more advanced than I was, and a lot of them were a lot more ahead. Mind you, this is my second semester in this program, so I felt really behind. So I decided, all right, let me just take a bunch of classes and try to catch up, and that was probably a terrible decision. Because what wound up happening is I just wound up getting all the all the grades in the alphabet basically, which means I did wind up failing one of my classes, and the other and two others I barely passed. So, but in between that time, I wound up actually going into the hospital. Mind you, I was also taking a class with my older sister, and she too wound up going into the hospital as well. She actually went there like the night before I did, and mind you, she is the healthier one between the two of us. She was actually like prior to 2019, she even wasn't even in a hospital for like 8 years. So then she went in that night, and then like that afternoon, I went in, but I don't even know if it was like even like CF related. Well, maybe. Basically, what happened was that I had like chest pains, like, and the weirdest part about that situation is that I never actually found out what that was. Like, I assumed that was maybe like a gas bubble because that's what it felt like. Because I've had those before, and those could be painful. And so it felt like an extreme version of it. But the interesting thing is, like, when I went to the hospital initially, again, this is involving a transfer because again, I'm going to a hospital nearby where I live instead of the one I actually follow up at. So what I ended up doing, so I actually had to stay there overnight, and you know, mind you, my family's with my sister who's at the hospital that we do follow up, and that's like a 30, 40, 50 minute ride depending on how fast you drive. So everybody's just jumping around. I was with my younger sister, so it was just the two of us. Like, so I'm being rushed in the emergency room. They're trying to put like two IVs in at the same time and try to, stop whatever. So I'm in a lot of pain, so I couldn't even answer. So she had to, and so basically what happens is that they eventually wind up giving me pain medication. So that pain eventually subsided. So by the time they gave me like X-rays and stuff like that, they didn't find anything because it was already gone. So I mean, it's still something that kind of concerns me, but it did fix itself, I guess. I don't know if it's the way I wanted it to, but like I said, I know I'm jumping around a bit, but it's gotta give you like a glimpse of like some of the stuff I've been dealing with. Also I forgot to even mention what this disease even is. Like, but I guess that will depend on who you ask. Like the way I would describe it, it's a chronic genetic, like, well, originally what I used to call it was just a lung and pancreas disease because those are the organs that it affects. But then I found out recently that it affects other organs. Heck, I found out recently that it could affect your fertility, which is something I never knew about at least until like 2019. I wound up doing research for one of my RTV projects and also for the commercial. But yeah, I didn't even know that. So now I just call it like a chronic genetic digestive and respiratory disease that affects other organs. It's a weird. I can't give like all like the medical stuff with it because I don't know that, and I mean I probably could if I just look it up, and I don't feel like doing that. And and then also people they tell you not to do that anyway, just so scare yourself, I guess. But I don't know. Like I think we see efforts we deal with a lot, so I don't think some of that stuff we face. I shouldn't say that. Well, it depends on who you ask. So for some it doesn't really phase. For others it might. Again, it depends on the experience really. So everybody has different experiences. So kind of going back into this particular month. Now, I don't know how long CF Awareness Month has been around, but I have been aware of it since like a year or two ago, or maybe 5 years ago. I'm not really sure, but what I wanted to do this particular year is that originally I wanted to post like something like every day, whether it's on YouTube or Instagram or whatever. But I wanted to post like at least some kind of like video or live stream something every single day. but I wasn't able to do that because school, and on top of that, I actually wound up getting sick in the middle of this month, right by my graduation. So that didn't really help. So, but then again, that was already kind of that ship already kind of sailed because I didn't post a single video until like the second or third day, and that was just me announcing like, "Hey, see everywhere this month." That's because I forgot, and that's also because my memory's been really bad lately. You know, again, that's probably because of all the school stuff. So now that I have free time, the month's about to end. I thought, all right, let me just post something, and hopefully this is going through. Like it says, I'm getting signal. So anyway, like I said, congrats to all the CF graduates. I was thinking of maybe hosting like a CF graduation party online. I think that would be kind of cool. Because it is a struggle, but we didn't do it. We've gotten through it, so just pat yourself in the back. You're making it. Another thing too is that I also want to shout out to all the people that's been posting stuff, especially like on like Instagram and stuff. I've seen people posting something like every day. That to me is like so I'm still like not feeling the best right now, but let me get a tissue. Yeah, I'm still not feeling the greatest because I'm still recovering, but I'm almost. I'm tripping all over the place. But yeah, I have my shorts out because it's summer, baby. Well, it's almost summer. That's the other thing too. This is also Memorial Day weekend, the unofficial kickoff to summer, because no one wants to be outside anymore. And I understand it, especially being like locked in the house for a long time. Now, for me, I personally I don't really carry the weight because I'm usually in the house. I mean, I've done homeschooling for like I don't even know how long, so I'm used to it. I don't really care that much. So if you, I really don't like. That also goes for like the mask mandates. I'm like I was wearing a mask before, and I'm gonna continue to wear one after. I'm probably gonna get weird looks like, oh, why you still wear the mask? What's wrong with you? That's CF. Also, a friend of mine was telling me how I was like ahead of the game. Like at least when it came to school, I was saying I was the only one that was wearing a mask. I just like one or two other people wearing it, but yeah, I guess I was. Not that I was predicting like the world like ending basically, but you know, that's another thing too. Are you going to get the vaccine? Because I know for me personally, I've been really like on the fence about it. I don't know. I just have my concerns about it. Like, I'm probably going to get it eventually, and by that I mean they're going to force it on me eventually. So, but I don't know if I wanted to get it right now. But I'm definitely reconsidering after the cold that I just recovering from. So, and again, thank you for everyone that's stopping by the live. I see someone left a comment on Twitch. That's interesting. I know somebody had show something on Instagram. So again, I know this is like really late because I'm pretty sure people are going to sleep or they're probably outside, unless you're in New York right now. It's raining. But like I said, I didn't want to do this earlier, but had some stuff, had some stuff I was doing, and also like to because the other concern too is I don't want to like stream at a time where like other people are streaming. Like at least specifically when it comes to other CFers. Not to necessarily say I don't want that competition per se, but I also like to watch like the other CFers as well. So I usually wait until they finish and then I go and do my thing. So, and honestly, these are not going to be that long anyway. These are going to be like somewhere between like 30 minutes to an hour. I don't want them to be that long because I don't want to be talking by myself for like 2 hours. And think about it like this: if I'm doing this for like 2 or 3 hours, that's going to be longer time to edit. And I'm already editing two other podcasts, so if I'm adding a third one, I'd rather it be shorter, especially if I'm doing it on my own. So, but anyway, like as far as like my feelings on CF as a whole, it's something it's always been kind of a nuisance. Like I would definitely say I've at least up until recently, it's always been more like a more physical with me than mental. Mainly because I was more optimistic about things until it wasn't when things really kind of started going south. Because around like 2018, 2019, my doctor was telling me that my CF had advanced and that my lung function had like dropped to like somewhere between like 50 to 40, and that was like my base. And I needed oxygen, so really that was really annoying. And the reason why that was annoying me specifically is because, especially since at the time I was really, again, I'm back in school now and I'm really working hard in school. And that's, you know, I guess it's because I always just feel like that's just something I needed to do because, like, honestly, like, I'm not particularly good at anything. Like, it's not anything noteworthy. I'm not really having, like, any real, like, major talents or skills. Like, I'm starting to try to develop that now, but, like, for the longest time, I didn't really have that. Like, that was more of, like, my sister's. So, me doing well in school, that was, I guess, for me to get attention from a positive standpoint because the attention I usually get is more from a negative standpoint. That's just because of me just getting sick a lot, and I did not want that to be. I did not want that to define me. So that's why I worked really hard when it came to school until it started becoming a little too difficult for me to deal with, and then not really getting the proper encouragement from not my family, but other people. That didn't really help at all. Especially since there was a point in time that I don't think I really told anybody this. There was a point in time I was really starting to wonder, like, what am I even doing? Like, why am I here? Like, especially because there was one point I just feel like there was nothing like going right for me, and I was just like, am I just here to suffer? Or even worse, am I here to make other people suffer? Am I here just to bring like destruction? Because that was a point in time where I was starting to feel like that. I'm just like, because again, I'm just like, I don't really have anything I'm particularly good at, and what I've been doing so far is just seems like I'm just making people suffer, and so not in the sense I want to like like go there or anything like anything like that. I'm just like I don't know what my purpose is in life, and I don't know what the point is, if that makes any sense. So that's just something I just had to sort out. And and a friend of mine did bring up like how negative I was starting to become, something I didn't really like even realize. And that conversation did really made me think about some things. Basically, that me have to reevaluate myself. This is before like the tricep stuff started coming into play. So, and when when that medication came out, because my Trikafta is something I took after the whole like chest pain ordeal. Right, I waited till like the day after Christmas that year because I didn't want it to interfere with the rest of the semester. Because I heard people saying, "Oh, saying the stuff about the purge that comes with the medication." And my sister, she actually did wind up, I guess, experiencing the purge. I kind of did, kind of didn't. I could definitely experience something, but it wasn't anything like major. Like I had this like kind of coughing spasm where a lot of stuff came out, and then nothing. And then after that, my breathing just got better. So much so that I actually stopped taking all of my medication except for like the Creon for like a month. But that's also because I didn't know you wasn't supposed to do that. My lung function actually did go up like 2%. Would have been higher, I guess, if I was still doing the medication properly. But that was something. And when I got this medication, I decided, all right, I, you know, if this thing's gonna change my body like physically, then I probably should try to change my life mentally, emotionally. So that's that's what I try to do, and that's something I'm still trying to do now. So, and I want to make that point because as you grow older, or just in general, as you grow, you're always gonna learn something new. You're always gonna grow. Like really, you don't really reach your peak until the end, if you know what I mean. So keep learning experiences, keep growing as a person. Try to experience new things. Try to keep a positive attitude, like my friend always says. Like life in general is hard. It really is, and unfortunately, it is hard for some for various reasons. It could be multiple reasons. It could be because of somebody's disability. It could be because of somebody's, if I really want to go there, like yeah, disabilities, race, gender, all that type of stuff, like sexual orientation. Like there's a lot of things that go into it, and unfortunately, the way the world works isn't really fair, and that is why it is important for us to try to make the world a better place with whatever power we have. And I actually think we have a lot more power now than we did back then, especially since we live in a day and age now in social media. So, you can use your platform to talk about whatever, really, which is what I'm trying to do now with my 3 podcasts. And, also go check those other podcasts out. I haven't released them on the audio stuff yet. They will be there soon because I finally started like finishing editing them after doing this for almost like half a year. But like I said, a lot of things came up, and this stuff takes a while, especially when you don't have the best equipment. It's gonna take a while. But anyway, when dealing with CF, it's really important to have like a good support system. So I've heard some people's stories about things. It's definitely important to have a good support system because when you don't, it can become very difficult. And obviously, I was just talking about this physically, but mentally as well. Because you need someone to pick you up when you fall down, or even stop you from falling. Like those trust falls, something like that, which I have never done, by the way. Actually, no, that's not true. I think I've done it once or twice in school. Because I did one for my English class. Don't ask me why. I don't even remember why I did it. Like, but then again, that was just me also trying to be more outgoing because that's another issue too with me, with myself specifically, is that I am not an outgoing person at all. I am a very antisocial, introverted person, and that is something I've been trying to work on I mean, some of that is, I guess, could be because of not the CF specifically. Like, I don't really have problems telling people that I have CF, but like more so just because I guess I kind of sheltered a lot, and to prevent myself from getting sick, even though that helps only to an extent. Because you can only protect, you can only like do that so much. Because you really have an infection or whatever come out of nowhere and be like, haha, I got you now. Which is exactly what happened recently. Because I just like on top of graduating, I did like I went on a trip, and after coming back from it, stuff happened. So yeah, that stuff's gonna come out of nowhere. So, and that's the other thing too. Like, I probably should talk about this in another. This might be one of my later discussions, but like for example, do you feel like you are a burden to whomever? Hopefully you don't, but I could definitely. I will say for sure that I definitely felt like that sometimes. Even though I don't think, even though I know they don't think that, but it is hard, especially when you're the one getting sick a lot, and a lot of people having to pretty much stop their lives to try to take care of you. I've mentioned this before in my Chronically Chill podcast about how guilty I feel about that. Especially since I know like there's been like a lot of mental emotional trauma from that. So and it's not to say that I don't have that specifically. I probably have it a lot more than I think I do. I don't because I don't really talk about that stuff a lot. I usually kind of keep whatever I'm feeling to myself because I don't like burdening people with my issues as much as I could do. And I think that's just more of just like a control issue because I've also learned something about myself, which I don't know how I feel about, which is that I am very controlling of things, for better and for worse. It could be, I would probably say more so for worse. Like that doesn't think too. Have you ever felt like you needed to like have control over something because you don't feel like you have control over anything? I definitely feel like that. Or at least I felt like that a lot. Like, which is why I tend to get frustrated whenever I do get sick. And it's just like, I don't have control over this. And that's why I was going so hard when going to school. I'm just like, this is like one. This is like the one thing I have control over in my life. So I'm gonna make sure I do well in it. And when I don't, yes, that would be something that could make me fall into depression. And that's another thing too that also bothered me is just the fact that I started even having those issues because that was something I always felt that I had over my sister. It's like, well, she has all these talents and she's the healthy one. I'm like, but I'm the more mentally fit one. And then until we randomly started kind of switch roles, which kind of annoyed me. I was like, no, that's not fair. Yeah, because I don't know, we kind of have a little rivalry with that. And I mean, I hate to say this too, but I've always been a little more envious of her more healthy state, and the fact that she had a lot of those accomplishments. And I'm just kind of sitting there myself like, well, so what have I accomplished? I'm alive. That's it. But yeah, I've actually accomplished things. But I guess it's always just feel like it just isn't as big or as important or it just always feels a little more minuscule compared to other people. Which is probably not a good thing to do is compare yourself to other people, especially with your experiences. Because I've had this conversation with with my sister as well. Like for example, she kind of just go up and leave where I usually I would have to do like the whole like medication routine before I go, just so I can breathe. And sometimes I can take like hours depending on how much that stuff, depending on how much medication you're taking, how long you're taking, the power of which you're taking it. Like for example, the treatments I take: albuterol, promazine, um, hypertonic saline, not necessarily in that order, and then either tobramycin or casein. I prefer to take the casein just because it's shorter and it's stronger in my opinion. The toby can go on for like, well, back in the day, that used to be like 30 minutes to an hour. Now it's more like 15 minutes, but also depends on like the power of your machine. So again, I could take like an hour or two. And going to like my experience with going to school, usually I have to wake up like 2 hours early before I actually even start getting ready. So that means I'm waking like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'm like half asleep doing the treatments. I'm like just. Well, the thing in my mouth, like on the side, I'm just like, and I'm basically on autopilot. Like, all right, so I just sit there for a couple minutes and I get up, switch the treatments, and then go back and sit there again. And I'm usually doing the vest as well, and I take up to like 30 minutes. So like when one cycle's finished, all right, change treatment, clean this out, put this in, go back and then go back to being like half sleep for like another like 10 minutes. And then I get up for my day after like 2 hours or so. And usually by the time I get to school, I'm already exhausted. I'm just like, all right, I'm over this. I do, and I also wind up staying in school a long time. Although that's just more my fault because I don't know how to leave. But then again, it's also because I used that time to actually hang out with some people, since that's like the only, at least until recently, that was really my only time to really hang out with anybody. So we're just really getting out the house. Although that's also part of my own issue, just because I can also be kind of lazy and like I said, it is a chore to have to get up in the morning and do all those routines. So if I don't have to go outside, I'm just not going to. It's an annoying routine. Like the casein has casein. I mean that too, but the tricafta has helped out with that a bit. I still have to do the routine though, so that still doesn't fix that. But want, if I do just want to skip that and just use the tricafta, I can. But that's something I don't know if I would recommend people do, because being over reliant on that is not a good thing to do because it can backfire. Which is why when I went on the trip, I still bought my treatments and stuff just in case, and I'm glad that I did because if I didn't, I think things definitely went south. Especially in a what is now going to be a post-mass world. I should probably mention this too. I might talk about this in another episode, but in my own, I kind of felt almost a little safe with the whole pandemic situation. It's interesting. Like my relationship with the pandemic has been interesting. Like, a lot of people are complaining about and stuff like that. And it can be annoying. I feel like the more annoying part of it is just like the online school stuff because online school is awful. Don't let anybody tell you different. Like the only good thing about online school is being able to cheat on the test, I guess, but it's not even worth it. Like it really is. I still prefer to be in like an actual classroom. Yes, that means you can't cheat on the test, but I would take the failing grade over having to do online again, especially if it's completely online. That was awful. I was dropping all that stuff. But anyway, like I don't know about you guys, but I just feel like it did feel a little safer when the mask mandates were there. Well, not just that, but just people in general, just having to be more clean. Because first CFers and then I guess other people with disabilities and stuff like that, or anyone with like a chronic illness, you have to be so careful with everything you do. You gotta wash your hands like every 5 minutes. You gotta make sure you don't, especially touching stuff. If you're one of those people, you carry wipes around, gloves even. You gotta do all this nonsense just to make sure you don't get sick. And unfortunately, you're the only one that's doing that because no one else is. And it was just kind of nice that now people are kind of forced to do that, or at least was forced to do that. Not anymore. Well, at least it's not going to be the case. Especially, I would say, especially by 2023, it's going to be. Well, I wouldn't say everything's going to be back to normal because I don't know if everything will be completely normal, but the nonsense will be back to the status quo, basically. The nonsense of people not being sanitary. As people are already going back to coughing and sneezing everywhere on you. It's annoying. As a matter of fact, I remember this one time when I was younger. I was going to Playland. This kid is like coughed on the back of my neck. Sure enough, the next day I had a sore throat. So we're gonna be getting more of that nonsense. I know you can say, "Well, it's a child," but I've seen adults do this nonsense too. It's ridiculous and it's annoying. Matter of fact, it was a CF that I posted about this recently. I forgot what her name is. I was looking for her page because I meant to comment on it, but I didn't. And mind just like in the midst of this cold I was having, because she was talking about how everything's gonna go back to normal. Everybody's just gonna go back to doing like the usual unsanitariness, for lack of a better term. And I was gonna mention to her like I agree with you like I understand exactly how you feel because that's annoying. I don't know what else to say about that situation. I kind of got a brain fart, but that happened a lot too. I have heard that CFs get that as well. That people call it the CF brain. I do know I've always been really forgetful. This has always been an issue since I was younger. It might be worse now though, but I know especially as of late I forgot a lot of stuff. Matter of fact, there was a few events I was supposed to attend, and I just didn't do it because I forgot. I was like, "Oh no, that was today. I forgot to do that." That was a little annoying. But what can you do, really, when you're doing a lot of stuff as is? And it was probably more annoying, at least with this semester, just because this is like my last semester, and I'm trying to get everything else I need to get done. When in reality, I probably should have just split it up, which I'm kind of doing right now anyway. So I wound up taking like 5 classes this semester. Well, originally I actually signed up for 6, but I dropped one of them early only to find out I kind of needed that class. But yeah, I wound up dropping most of it. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, I probably should have just split it up from the start. Take some in the spring and take some during the summer. Part of it because I didn't want to take any classes this summer, but more so was also just because I was part of this program and I need like a certain amount of classes, a certain amount of credits to be part of it. So that's really what that was. I did take a CPR class and that was really enjoyable. So right now I'm trying to build a first aid kit, but I'm realizing that the first aid kit I'm building right now is for myself for reasons I will not get into. That's a joke, by the way. So we are approaching the 1 hour mark, so I'm probably going to be ending this in like 6 more minutes. Like I said, I do not want this to go on for like 2 hours. So I'm not trying to edit that while still editing the other episodes. because I'm starting all my podcasts up soon again. So again, if you haven't followed them, please do. And if you're enjoying the show, give it a like, share it, follow, do all that stuff. I'm streaming this live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and what was the other one? Twitch. I'm also streaming this live on Instagram as well. I see a friend of mine was watching. Thank you for watching. I don't know how to pronounce her page, but shout out to, I'll just say this Perry. Shout out to her. Shout out to the random person on Twitch, which is funny because I didn't even know people even watching my Twitch. I only got like 3 followers on there. Really, like YouTube is where it's at. Well, at least that's what I'm trying to make it where it's at. Again, thanks to everyone for following all my pages. Continue to do so. Please follow my other pages. I will be posting more content on all of them, or at least I'm going to try to. Although you're probably better off following the main page, which is DJ Mega Game 17 if you're like on Instagram. But I will be posting like more stories and stuff. I know they're not the most elaborate looking stories because I'm just doing text. That's mainly because I haven't figured out how to do the more elaborate stuff yet. I don't really have the time to do that right now. And hopefully the audio is recording, because if it isn't, then I just waste like an entire hour. And I'm not really recording that. But if that is the case, then the next episode will have to be the first episode. And then we'll be stuck in a loop where every episode's episode 1. Because that kind of happened before. That was a joke too, by the way. Well, it's a half a joke. Yeah, this is the first time using Restream. So it seems to be working well. I don't know what everybody's saying on there. But again, thanks. So everybody. Wait, so before I end this, how should I end this? Because mainly this whole episode was just being kind of going all over the place. So I gave a little bit of my story. I still don't even know if I even gave like the full story. I gave the abridged version basically. You don't really know like every single detail. I don't have to go that deep into it. You got the gist of it. You got the gist of how I feel about certain things. A little more into it some other time. Now, if you want me to bring any guests on here, you guys can DM me about that. And by guests, I mean like people I know personally. But like as far as like interviewing, that's gonna be on the Chronically Chill podcast. Because for the most part, this is just going to be like a solo thing. But yes, leave questions. Like, what do you want me to talk about next? Because if not, I'm just going to keep making up random stuff, and you just have to deal with it. I gave you an opportunity, so use it. And yes, it is kind of hard to try to check this and my Instagram at the same time. Yeah, that's better. Because I'm also trying to have the phone and the video, but then again, the phone being in the video, I don't think it's really that big of a deal. It's not in my face, so you're not like not seeing it. Okay, that came out wrong. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. But again, just shout out to everybody that's been posting stuff this month. You know, I hope everybody's been enjoying CF Awareness Month. I hope everybody's been gaining something from it. I hope people have learned something. Maybe it was life changing for them. You know, the month's about to close. I think we have 3 days left. I think this month goes all the way up to the 31st. And speaking of the 31st is actually my YouTube anniversary, and I think this year it's going to be my 10th anniversary. The 10th or the 11th. I don't remember which one it was because no, I think I made my YouTube channel in 2011, so that would mean that would be my 10th anniversary. What am I saying 20th for? Yes, I will be doing something special for it. I'm probably just gonna do a live stream or wait, today's the 28th. Saturday's the 29th. Wait, when is the 31st? Is that a Tuesday or a Monday? Like I said, regardless, I'll do something. Maybe I might do in my podcast. Maybe Well, I also plan on doing some gaming stuff as well. Oh yeah, and shout out to that one gaming page. I think it's like Wheezy Gaming or something. I'll just see if we're doing gaming stuff. Shout out to them. Shout out to. I guess also shout out to Summer Love because I know her birthday was like a few days ago, so if she's watching this. And again, just shout out to everybody. But I think it's time for us to close this. I am just repeating myself right now, and it's already past the 1 hour mark. So again, thank you for everybody for watching, listening. Hopefully the audio is fine. Hopefully I'm not too loud or too quiet. Hopefully, it actually picked up. I'm seeing signal. So hopefully that's working well. And for the people watching this on Instagram, I apologize for you just mainly just seeing my bed, but as long as you can hear what I'm saying, I think that's all that matters. Like I said, this is my first time using Restream, so hopefully everything's going well. I might use this again. I mean, I would like to. I like to use different streaming things for the different podcasts to kind of get them their own little feel. The audio version is gonna have like background music on it just to kind of kill off some of the dead space or whatever. So maybe a sound effect or two. Who knows? Yes, I am breaking the fourth wall because that's what I do. And again, tune in for the 31st, where I will post something. And if I don't, remind me, because I'm very forgetful, but I'll try to put it in a calendar. Like, oh yeah, it's your it's your 10-year YouTube anniversary. You should be posting something right now. You should be celebrating. Yeah, do that. See, T. McDaniel. And by the way, my youngest sister designed this as well. As well as my graduation hat. So, if you need her to design anything, you go hit her up by DMing me and I'll DM her. Or however that goes. But you gotta go through me first. Or I think I'm about to cough. So anyway, rate, comment, subscribe. Follow all my pages, all my video pages, audio pages. Just follow me in general. You know who I am. So on that note, everybody have a good night. Or a good morning, a good afternoon, good evening, whenever time you actually wind up watching or listening to this. But just have a great day, a great weekend. Enjoy a Memorial Day weekend. And yes, I just dated this stream, but I did that at the beginning. And stay tuned for more content, for more episodes of this 65 Roses podcast or podcast show, whichever one you want to refer to. So long. Until next time.